And crime and violence must stop.
Welcome again, happy time people, welcome back again. I don't know, it is the Reggae Boy time, it is International Week, it is International Week and it's coming up. Look, it's Thursday and guess what, lot of international games coming up. Actually, tomorrow will be the Reggae Boy game, we're looking forward for that as well. But yeah, it's a morning inside of it, look, hope everyone, since Monday week, since Tuesday, since yesterday, and also today, looking forward for tomorrow, and we're looking forward for the weekend. Hope you're really having a wonderful day, whatever you guys doing in your life, you understand? But you don't know, the morning in Salavida is here again, and I'm going to talk about our prominent one, the Leon Chippy Bailey, and also going to touch on the JPL. Yes, the JPL is heating up as it's hedging closer to the playoff, and guess what? The teams that down in the relegation, the teams that fighting for top 6, and the teams that are fighting for the top 3 position, a lot of interested games are coming up, a lot of big battles, to battle in the Premier League as well, so I'm going to look into that as well. But right after this, we will jump right into, and guess what we'll start? We will get rid of the JPL and then we will jump into the Leon Bailey story, where we're going to talk about Leon Bailey, who the fans some credit, not digital credit, not flow credit that he's sponsored by, but some actual credit that he needs to put in a big performance on the pitch coming up in a game. I will tell you why after this.
It will be Medense swinging this ball in right in front. Corey Burke throttles this ball through and thrashes the net.
Yes, JPL in 5, with the couple of games that played yesterday. I must say, look, that one that really stand out was the Vere versus Waterhouse at Waterhouse Mini Stadium. But I'm going to kick it off with one of the hottest team in the country at this moment. You will say, look, the last 3 games, Tivoli Garden is one of the best team in the country. You understand? 3 straight wins, and all 3 games come with 3+ goal. Jerome Way team seems like they have turned the corner, and this is the moment, you will say the right time to kick in gear, when it's actually the last sets of games that go into play before we go into the playoff. And Tivoli Garden, they are in the top 6. Yes, they are in the top 6. Racing game with Racing not played, yesterday. Tivoli Garden jump over Racing, and you will say it's looking really good. But it's looking good for Tivoli, but for Dunbeholden, it's not looking good, because look, Dunbeholden, before all of this bad patch of run, started, they were on a 6 game unbeaten streak. Now it's 5 game. They have never gone 5 game in the season where they haven't get a draw or a win. Look, I don't know what to say. It's something that you will say Harold Thomas have turned the corner with this Dunbeholden team. But oh my God, the teams that he faced in the last 5 games, he lost against Racing, he lost against Mount Pleasant, he lost against Arnett Garden, he lost against Tivoli and Cavalier. So some top teams who's finding their feet, especially Arnett Garden and Mobile and Mount Pleasant, which is 2 of the best team in the country, and the newly informed team Tivoli that beat them yesterday 4-2. Tivoli Garden, this is the performances that they showed last season, and that's why they were one of the best goal scoring team in the country. But Tivoli coming up, Tivoli games coming up, they have Racing next. That will be a big game, you understand? And also they have Mount Pleasant, they have Cavalier, and they have Arnett Garden. Harbourview Stars of the East versus Portmore, the team from St. Catherine. And I must say, Rudolph Austin is on a roll. Yes, Rudolph Austin is on a roll. 3 straight win, 0 goal conceded. They have conceded 19 goals, one goals more than Mount Pleasant, the best defensive team in the Jamaican Premier League. And Portmore is 5 points. They open up a 5 points gap ahead half Cavalier, who dropped down into 5th position a couple of match days ago. With Portmore is running really hot form at this moment. You have to just give them it. They are going to the playoff with one of the best team in the country, one of the best top 16 in the league, one of the best defensive team in the league, and they have always going on into playoff games where they are one of the best defensive team in the league. But Harborview back-to-back win for the back-to-back last for the first time since match day 18 and match day 19, where they have picked up some crucial points, in the last 12 games, where, they go on to a win, lose, and a draw. And again, it's just a pattern of Harborview, fixtures. But this is the first time they go on to losing 2 games on the spin since match day 18 and match day 19. So you would say maybe, they're looking for 2-3 more wins of the campaign, and you would say they are safe, but they are not right there as yet. A couple of points away from the relegation zone, but they are not right there as yet. But when you look at it, the last 2 games, they lost the last 2 games. They didn't score in any of those games. Before that, they unbeaten in their last 2 games, and they didn't concede. So they I just don't know, their season is up and down. It's happy moments and it's sad moments. Can they turn around their season and get 2 to 3 more wins and be safe and know that they will be in the next JPL season that's coming up here, 2025-2026 season? And also the last game, Vere versus Waterhouse at Waterhouse Mini Stadium, and you will say this was a feisty encounter between the two teams after Vere took the lead again and again against another opponent. Remember they were 2-0 up versus Moulins, where they go on to they lost that game. Now they 1-0 up couple of minutes after match, where it's a free kick. I think it was Declan John kick it and it went right into the wall, and then guess what, the skipper again, remember he scored that very good free kick against, I think it was against Portmore. He have done it again with another game with Andre Fletcher. Waterhouse win this one 2-1. Vere at one point, Vere was out of the relegation. Now they back in it after concede that second goal. Oh my word. But this is a team, look, Vere, they are not so bad of a team when you look at them in the first sets of games in the first round, but now you could see that they are more of a team trying to, you're trying to see what they're trying to do. They create moments in the game. I think Kevin Atkins, before he got that red card, he got that early opportunity. I think that should have been a proper, you should probably take that one. Look, when you're down there, you have to take every single moment of opportunity that you get. But I mean, a lot of fights, the encounter come up, players to players, what arguing, red card flashing left, right and center. What happened after the game, a little brawl. I think the Declan John story. Akeem Bernard is a former Phoenix player. Those players for Waterhouse went over to the Vere bench, and actually seems that they're mocking the Vere players, including Kyle Butler, Craig Butler. Look, I don't think when the game finished, someone from Vere did an interview. I did not see any of that, but look, it's a part of the game. You love to see stuff like that. But I mean, it's all banter. But Craig Butler and not Craig Butler, but Kyle Butler wasn't having any of it. It was a big brawl, between the two sets of teams. Players were going at each other. I love it, man. I love to see stuff like that. But let's move on though. But before I move on, I have to say, look, the unity, of Waterhouse, you could see the unity, after what they last, their last 5 games, they searching for a win. This was a very important win after losing at home versus Racing, losing at Railway versus Tivoli Garden. This is a much needed result for Waterhouse at home, and they are not so prolific at home. But you could see the unity after the game. But what happened with the Vere, this is not something that you really want to see from a Vere standpoint. dead last in in the point standing. They're looking for points. They're looking to save their season, and these are the stuff that you don't want to see. You want to see a team that fighting for everything on the pitch. They're leaving everything on the pitch. But when you look at it, I think they are playing a little bit to open up. I think they're not fighting enough. I think they're as a team that sit 14th position, you have to fight for every inch and blade of every grass on that pitch. So I just think they just have to continue to work, continue to do what they're doing, and just put in that extra little bit of fight and bring more momentum in the game. But they're going to have to learn to control leads in a game where you can't be leading 1-0 and you allow a goal in, I think, in the 70 something minute Juventus score, and then you can't see it's just happening too frequently this season where they concede right at the start or they concede right at the end, where they go on to lose many games like this and lose many 3 points like this and gave up leads, gave up points, so it's happening too frequently. But Leon Bailey, I must say, look, with the game that's really coming up, we have a couple of windows left before we go into the big one. Not the best of season for Leon, but I think when you look at it, health wise, he's playing consistent minutes, game after game for Aston Villa. There and there he will be rotating around in the starting 11, on the bench. But these games, just like what we saw in the Gold Cup, he performed very well versus Trinidad and Tobago. He performed very well versus St. Kitts. So when he come up against big performance, showed a little bit of brilliance, showed your class 1v1 versus your wing back, get players into the game, get your teammates into the game, let everyone look good, fighting for the second ball, showing that you have the right attitude to play for the team, show that you care, you just like how things are happening really well for you off the pitch in Jamaica by you donating stuff to the Bellevue Hospital and everything like that. You have to show that attitude on the pitch as well. Show, give us that brilliance that you showed last season for Aston Villa. So I think, look, that game that he played the last game, the two-legged game in Kingston and in Missouri, it's a stinker of a game. We don't want that. But with the Gold Cup is on the horizon, right after the Gold Cup would be crucial World Cup qualifiers. I understand, Leon is in a crucial stage of his club career, where Aston Villa, right after the break, they will play versus Preston in a quarterfinal. They will play away to Brighton, a team that is just a few points ahead of them in the Premier League standing, and also they will play at home to Forest, and then the big game coming up in the Champions League versus Paris. So Leon have some very, very good important games, but he should make sure that, look, these two games that we have coming up against St. Vincent, he must show his class. He must show that, look, I'm here, I'm going to show my quality, I'm going to show where I'm going to separate myself from the rest of the players, separate myself from those average players that he's going to come up against versus St. Vincent. So if he can grab a little bit of momentum, grab a little bit of confidence, I know, wearing that, the black, green and gold, we haven't seen what we've seen of the 2023-2024 season for Aston Villa transition into, for the Reggae Boy team. So hopefully, this is where, the journey will start for Leon. And, he's going to kick on, I think so many times Reggae Boy fans, so many times people that talk about the Reggae Boys will actually say stuff like this for Leon Bailey, that when is that time will Leon show us that he is ready to kick on his international career? But when you look at it, 18 months from now, probably around 18, 14 probably, so yes, about 18 months from now will be a FIFA World Cup. We are not there as yet. We're not into the second rounds of qualifiers as yet, but we will be there for sure. And for us to get there, Leon will have to play a big part in that as well. Look, this boy, he born 1997. What will where in his club career will he be at after the 2026 World Cup? That's going to be another extra 4 years when the time come again for 2030 World Cup. He will be somewhere close to around his 30 mark. What kind of Leon Bailey will be available at that time? So I think this is the best time. This is the best moment of his career, his prime time, to show the fans that this is the time and this is a moment where he will take charge and lead this Reggae Boy team. But no big pressure. It's St. Vincent, but at least show your class. In these games, you must separate yourself. Show that you're a class player from the average players that you're going to come up against, and take care of business in St. Lucia, and then come back home and let's have an exhibition game at Savannah Park in front of our massive home crowd that will turn up to watch the second leg. So hopefully all of this what I'm saying will come true. And what's your take, fans, in the comment section? You guys can also comment and tell me what you guys think. What's the challenge like for Leon Bailey ahead? These two games, the World Cup qualifiers coming up in June, especially that big one versus Guatemala, and also we need a Leon Bailey to show up in the Gold Cup as well. But let's take it one step at a time. Yes, one step at a time, and then he should lead us into that September window where it's crucial games going to come up in September, October, and November, and then looking forward for that summer big games in the FIFA World Cup. But tell me what you guys think. About Leon Chippy Bailey, what lies ahead of him, how important is he to this project with the Steve McCarron project to bring us to that next World Cup, and also give us moments. Give us moments. Many times we watch Leon Bailey, you can't pinpoint and remember moments. This is why people like Walter Boy, this is why people like Neymar, this is why people like Lionel Messi. They always give moments to the fans, give them something to remember, not just moments on a negative, but moments on the positive side where he is contributing something to the game for his team to get a positive result. But this is the Morning Insider, man. Thanks for watching. This is Nicardo Media House, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the match day preview. I'm out. Bless up. Salute.
And crime and violence must stop.